In this video, we're going to take a look at how we can use length, area, and volume scale factors with our work on maps. So let's take a look at this first question. We've got a map with a scale of 1 to 500 and a small garden on the map with an area of 14 centimeters squared. Let's work out the actual area of the garden. So the 1 to 500 is kind of corresponding to what we call a linear scale factor. So if I want to work with areas, I'm going to need to calculate that area scale factor. So I'm going to have to square it. So the area scale factor is going to be 1 to 250,000. Okay. Now we've got that. If we wanted a straight transformation, a conversion, all I've got to do is I've got to take my 14 centimeters squared and times it by 250,000, and that's going to give me my new area. So that is going to be 350,000 centimeters squared. But of course, we don't measure areas of gardens in centimeters squared. We're going to need to convert that to meters squared. Now, let's just pause for a second and have a little think about how we're going to convert areas. Now, let's have a little look. So just take a moment to think about this. Look at the left-hand side. If I have a 1 meter by 1 meter square, well, that's 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. So 1 meter squared, there look, is worth 10,000 centimeters squared. Okay, so, and we can go further than that as well. If I considered kilometers as well, well, if a kilometer is 1,000 by 1,000 meters, so 1 kilometer squared is 1,000,000 meters squared. Now, with that in mind, let's go back and see if we can use one of these conversions to help us work this out in a more simplistic way. So we're going to use that 1 meter squared is 10,000 centimeters squared. So all I now need to go back and do with this example is to divide it by 10,000. So really, in essence, what I'm doing is I'm taking off 4 zeros. So my answer is going to be 350 meters squared. Okay, hopefully that made a bit of sense. Let's move on to a second example. Okay, so on a map with a scale of 1 to 20,000, we've got this garden again. It has an area of 5 centimeters squared. Let's calculate the actual area of the garden. So our length scale factor is equivalent to 1 to 20,000. So our area scale factor will have to be 1 to 20,000 squared. Well, that's going to be a big number. That is going to be 400,000,000,000. Okay, right, 8 zeros on the end there. Right. Okay, so if I wanted to take my 5 centimeters squared, I'd need to times it by that huge number to give me the actual area. Of course, it'll only be in centimeters squared, and we'll need to convert that, but it can be done. So let's do that. Right. So that is going to be, it was going to have 9 zeros on the end. There we are. Okay, right. So we've got that 2,000 million. Let's now think about how we're going to convert that. Now, perhaps we'll go back and just revisit our previous work. Look, let's just go back. So if I want to start by converting this into meters squared, I'm going to need to divide it again, like the previous example, by 10,000. So let's take off 4 zeros. Okay, so the original was in centimeters squared. If, let's not use the commas. Okay, well, that will be, there we go, right? Okay, we're going to have 200,000 meters squared. Okay, now if we want to try and convert that to kilometers, well, remember this picture here, each kilometer is 1,000 by 1,000, right? So a kilometer squared is going to be 1,000,000 with 6 zeros meters squared. So if we divide it through by 1,000,000, or take off 6 zeros, we're going to have this in kilometers. Now, we can therefore work this out to be 0.2 kilometers squared. Okay, I hope that made sense. It's quite difficult with these conversions. I'm sure you're getting it though. Right, now, big finish. Okay, let's have a little think about this. We're going to combine lots of different work now. Okay, so we've got a model car and it's made on a scale of 1 to 20. That's a length scale factor. Now, we've got some different measurements and we're going to be asked to find lengths, areas, and volumes. So before we even get started, let's think about each of the different scale factors. So the length scale factor is given to us. It's 1 to 20. The area scale factor will be that thing squared. So that will be 1 to 400. And the volume scale factor will be 1 to 20. Well, that will be cubed. So that's going to be 1 to 8,000. Okay, so that's our first piece of work. Let's see if we can work out each of these just using that. This looks to be a little bit simpler. Okay, so let's do A first, the length of the car. Well, this one's straightforward because we've got to do 24 centimeters, the length of the model, just multiplied by 20. So if I work that out, I'm going to have 480 centimeters, and perhaps we could divide it by 100 to get it into meters. We're going to have 4.8 meters. Okay, let's now think about the area one, okay, the area of the windscreen. So the area of the windscreen was 32 centimeters squared. Our area scale factor tells us that this is going to increase by a scale factor of 400. So if we multiply 32 by 400, we're going to get 12,800 centimeters squared. And let's just refer again to our picture. If we have that amount of centimeters squared, I'll need to divide it through by 10,000 to get it into meters squared. So that's taking off 4 zeros. That's going to be like 1.28 meters squared. Okay, hope that made sense. Let's carry on. Big finish. Now, the volume. So volume is going to be tricky. Well, we can work this out. So we'll come back to some diagrams in just a moment, but we've got that original volume of 90 centimeters cubed that's given to us in the question. We're going to multiply that by the volume scale factor, which was 8,000, and that is going to give us 720,000 centimeters cubed, 720,000 centimeters cubed. Now, when we're thinking about volume and converting between centimeters to meters, we need a different picture. So let's take a look at the final picture. So let's think about what a 1 meter cubed is. Well, each meter is 100 centimeters. So a meter cubed is 100 times 100 times 100 centimeters cubed, which is 1,000,000 centimeters cubed. So if I want to convert from centimeters cubes to meters cubes, I'll need to divide my answer by 1,000,000. Okay, so with that in mind, let's divide it by 1,000,000, and that is going to come out at 0.72 meters cubed. Okay, these are some tough questions here. I hope you followed that. Have a go at the exercise.